morning, everybody. A good Erev Yud Nissen. Very, very special days coming on. We're about to celebrate our holiday of freedom. And I think this year, in many ways, it's going to be the most extraordinary Pesach. Because we are living through very, very, very unusual times. If you read any of the Yalkut Shmonis, any of the Kabbalistic insights, it seems almost very obvious that the world is preparing itself for Geula. And we are seeing things that we've never seen before with Israel, with the world, with our friends, with our enemies, with our allies. There's just so much that we don't understand. But one thing we know, Hashem is running the world, and we are his partners in this creation. And we are so fortunate. I remember as a teenager, I would go to the Rebbe's for bring-ins every single Shabbos. My friends and I would sit in the front and listen for sometimes 3, 4, 5 hours on Shabbat. The Rebbe spoke in Yiddish, which was not my first language. And there was no microphone. And the Rebbe spoke to over 5,000 people. There wasn't a pin drop in the entire 770 synagogue. And we would listen to the Rebbe talking about different things on the Parsha, on Kabbalah, on the holiday that was approaching. There was always something relevant, whether it was what was going on in Israel. The Rebbe always addressed Israel. But then the Rebbe always, hi Sharon, good morning from Boston. The Rebbe always spoke about that we are in the generation of Mashiach, and all that's left to do is to shine our buttons. And the Rebbe used to give the analogy of, the soldiers getting ready to go to war, and there was the commanding officer who came to check on each soldier to make sure that they were all ready for battle. And then sometimes he would say, your buttons weren't polished. So they would say, now we are in the generation of polishing our buttons. But they always ended off the Farbrengen with this huge, that Mashiach is coming in our generation. But something's happened in the last few months. And all my 60 years of life, I've never, ever experienced what I am experiencing now. It's Mashiach energy is palpable. You can feel it in the ear and you can hear it wherever you go. Every Jew, no matter what level of mitzvot we are at, those of us that are growing, those of us that are still searching, we know something's different. And we're feeling it. And remember, I'm a shlucha here in a community. We're all growing in our Judaism. We're all still growing. But everybody is saying that the people they're speaking to know there's a Mashiach energy in the world. So now the question is this. Are we ready? Are we ready? The global world is ready. We see it. You read the Kabbalah and it talks about how the king of Persia will have his hands all over the world, and the rest of the world of Edom, which is the Western civilization, and the Christian world will go against him. Every single prophecy is actually coming alive. Israel now is at the juxtaposition of enormous world change. And you and I are here. Even our grandparents didn't merit to be in the world right now where you and I are at, which is two very, very interesting points. A, we are so fortunate that this is the Gilgal that we were chosen to be, but also the responsibility of being the Jewess that's going to usher in Mashiach. Are our homes ready? Are our communities ready? Is my dining room ready? Like my personal space with my children, are we ready to welcome Mashiach? So my first question to you, all of you now is, from wherever you're watching, good morning Helga, Rosalie, Lily, Chana, Sharon, Karine, Clara, Sophie, Lynn, all of you, good morning and welcome to Tanya Online. And I see a lot of you are calling in from different parts of the world. So welcome all of you. Good morning Karen. So are you ready in your personal life? You're going to hear the shofar blowing. Are you ready? Put in a comment, give me a thumbs up. When I say that the world is at the turning point, we have now come to the space where the whole purpose of the creation of the world is so that we could bring Mashiach and we could usher in an era of peace, of godliness, of a space where the world will see godliness. You know, one of the things that Jews now are struggling with, good morning, Dorit, one of the things that Jews are struggling with, and you could tell me, give me a thumbs up if you agree with me, is that we're wondering, why is the world blind to Israel? How could they not see truth from falsehood? How are they believing Hamas? How is your average human being not seeing the destruction of October 7th and believing that the pro-Hamas, the pro-terrorists in Gaza are right? How does the world not recognize MS? How do they not see what we are doing, that our army is going in with such precision and such sensitivity not to kill any civilians? We're not even getting our hostages. We've lost our hostages. Who knows how many are still alive? Because we're so careful not to, God forbid, kill a pro-Palestinian or a Gaza. Does the world not see that? So there's something very, very strange going on. But what Mashiach times means is people will see MS. I think that's, to me, good morning, Naomi, good morning. I think right now what's troubling most of us Jews is that we're shocked. The Hamasniks, the Palestinians, the Muslim radicals, we're not shocked that they're barbarics. We're not shocked that they're lowlifes. We're shocked as the rest of the world that we thought were humane, and they don't see it. That's what's so painful. But when Mashiach comes, Ro Kol Haaretz, the whole world will see Es Hashem. They'll see truth. That's Mashiach. And what happened with Iran throwing those 300 missiles and hoping to kill out Israel, the world is seeing. America, United Kingdom, even Canada, that's always behind the whole world, even they're saying Israel's in the right. They're seeing miracles. We witness miracles, and we're seeing miracles non-stop now. That's Mashiach Satan. So as we prepare for Mashiach, I wanted to talk a little bit about the Seder. How many of you, and I want absolute truth here, how many of you are excited about Pesach? Okay, just want to take a little tally. How many of you are excited about Pesach, about the Seders? Now, while you think about the answer, I want everyone to give tzedakah, Gedol tzedakah shemikareves hazagula. We'll say a chapter of Tehillim for our IDF, for our hostages, for our brethren in Israel, and for all Jews around the world, for safety and for geula. And now we'll say chapter Kuf Chaf Aleph. Shir Lamala Sasa Einay Elahar Me'ayivo Ezri. Ezri Me'imadina Osa Shemayim V'aretz. Al Yitei Lamot Urglecha Al Yonim Shemrecha. Hine Lo Yonim V'Lo Yishan Shem Yisrael. Adina Shemrecha Nertzoch Al Yad Minecha. Yomam Hashemesh Le'akeka V'Yirech B'Layla. Adina Yishmercha Mikol Ra. Yismoras Nafshecha Yishmor. Yishmor Seisacha V'Yecha Mi'ata. The premise of this chapter of Tehillim that King David wrote so many years ago is Hashem is not sleeping. On Saturday night when that Iranian shmegegis were trying to beat up on Israel, Hashem wasn't sleeping. He was watching with a bated breath and protecting us. Of course, it came through the Iron Dome, and Yesterit, Rachel Bas Vivian Rufu Shlema. He You could put down anyone that you would like to have today's class in their schus. Please put down their names. You see, when Pesach, the original Pesach happened, the miracles were very, very ma'ala miteva. You know what that means? Above nature. So we saw the Red Sea split. Our parents saw frogs and hail and lice and all the 10 plagues. It was very obvious, but it was obvious in a godly way above nature. Today's miracles, and I want you to think about this very clearly. Lipa shlema benecha. Only good news, Sharon, only good news. The miracles that we're seeing now are miracles that are in nature. That's a little bit harder to recognize. Why is that? Because Hashem is playing out the miracles right now through nature. He's making us have these iron domes that are receiving and not allowing any one of those missiles to attack the Jews. That's a miracle, but it's mitoch hateva. It's through nature. When we were in Mitzrayim, it was ma'ala miteva. It was above nature. So it was very open and very revealed. Today, what can Jews say? We have the Iron Dome. The Israelis are so smart. But I think even Israelis are recognizing that this is a miracle. You have to be blind not to see Hashem's hand in every single part of this. And something's being orchestrated that we don't understand. But we are standing on the threshold of tremendous Nisim. Nisim from the Lashon of Nisan. We are now in which month, my friends? The month of Nisan. Nun, Yud, Samach, Nun. How many letters of Nun are there in this month? How many letters do we have in the month of Nisan that have the letter Nun? 2. Nun stands for Nisim, miracles. We're not going to just see miracles like in the month of Adar. We are going to see miracles that are above and beyond, double the amount. So my friends, clean your houses like you never did before. Prepare your Seders like you've never prepared before. And I don't only mean the knedlach and the herring and the gefilte fish. I'm talking about spiritually. Spiritually prepare yourself. And that's what we're going to talk about today. I want to pose a question to some of you. It's going to be a little bit open and raw, today's conversation. I asked before the question, how many of you enjoy the Seder with the conversation? How many of you young adults want to come to the Seder and just want to eat? They don't want to go through the whole Haggadah reading. It's so boring. I don't want to go through the whole, the 15 steps of the Seder. Kaddish, Orchas, Karpas, Yachatz. Oh, we have to wash our hands again. Magid. Oh, no, we have to read the Haggadah. Why do we have to read the Haggadah so many times? We read it last year. I don't want to do it. Let's just come in, sit down, have a matzah, and just go home. But the point of the Seder is that there's an order. And it's not like a Shabbat meal. And it's not a Friday night regular dinner. It's a different Seder. But I want to say something very interesting. You see, the Seders that we put together for our family has to be very, very meaningful and well planned. We have to, all as women, because I know that if anything's going to happen at home, it's because of you. We have to sit down for a couple of hours, maybe this week, before it's very stressful, and think about each step of the Seder, how you can make it meaningful, inspirational, and motivational. And I'm not talking about just throwing some frogs, picking up some stuff from Israel and just throwing frogs at everyone. That's adorable, but our young people need a lot more than throwing frogs. We need really deep, meaningful, and intellectual conversation. So I would recommend maybe taking time to put out little questions and put it underneath everyone's plate. And during the Magid part, when we have to read Haggadah, let everyone pick up a question that they have to share, 30 seconds, but something that really touches the neshama. You can go onto Chabad.org, you can go onto different sites that will give you questions and ideas of what your family can talk about. We talk about a lot about living wills for our children. But how many of you have prepared a living will for your children? When they sit down at the Seder, it's a really good time to expose and make yourself vulnerable to your living legacy. You know what kind of life you had, with the mistakes and the good things, and what you wish you did different, and what you think you would like to do again. Talk about it to your children. Let's make the Seder a very meaningful Jewish conversation. Take different parts of the Haggadah and make it relevant. Let your kids, whether they're university kids or high school kids or young parents, let them talk about the Haggadah and Judaism and release from Egypt and redemption. Let them talk about it in their current life. What does it mean for me today? It's very interesting when we go through the different steps of the Haggadah. How many of you know the steps of the Haggadah? There's Kadesh, Orchatz, Karpas, Yachatz, Mahagid, Rachza, Motzi Matzah, Moror, Korech, Shulchan, Orech, Tzofon, Beirach, Halal Nirtza. 15 steps. You see? I know them by heart. I'm sure you do too. But each one of these steps is something you have to do. Kadesh, make Kiddush. Orchatz, you wash your hands. Yachatz, you break the matzah. Kadesh, Orchatz, Kadesh. Magid, Kadesh, Orchatz, Karpas. Yachatz, Magid. You have to read the Haggadah. Rachta, you wash your hands again. Motzi matzah, right? Everything has a step. There's action. I'm going to throw out a question to one of you women. I want to say, who's the really smart one this morning? What's the last part of the Haggadah? The last one of the 15 steps. I'll read it again. Kadesh, Orchas, Karpas, Yachatz, Magid, Rachta, Motzi, Matzah, Morah, Korach, Shulchan Aruch, Tzofan, Beirach, Halal, Nirtza. What's the last step of the entire Seder? Nirtza. Nirtza means God accepted and enjoyed our Seder. That's not an action. What do we do about that? That's something that God does. Why is that part of our Seder? Nirtza. We're telling God and thanking God for enjoying and participating and accepting that our Seder was perfect. What's the reason for that? If you have any explanation, I'd love you to put it down in the comments. Because I heard something beautiful. I heard something beautiful that I want to share with you, and I think it's going to change, put a paradigm shift on the way we see this Seder. I think a lot of us come with expectations to the Seders, especially the people that are running it. They want everything to be 100%. They want everyone to be part of it and everyone to sing along. And we don't want anyone to rush. We don't want anyone to just ask for the knelach. We want everyone to really be part of it. Especially those of us who put in a lot of effort to make the Seder. The truth is, whatever happens at our Seder is perfect. Everyone that we invited to our Seder is perfect. And that's why we end off the Seder with Nirtza. We say to Hashem, I know that even though I have 4 kinds of sons, 4 kinds of children at the Seder, a Chacham, a Rasha, a Tam, and She'enu Yidei Elisha, the wise one, the wicked one, the simple one, and the son that doesn't even know how to ask a question. All of our children are here at the Seder. Thank God, we say to Hashem. There are some kids today that are hanging out on the street. They're not even coming home. We say to Hashem, all of our children are at the Seder. And each one came with his baggage. And some of them came kicking and screaming. But they're here. And to us, that means a lot. To us, that means a lot. And Hashem, we know that Nirtzah, you are thrilled that we came to the Seder. Over 3,500 years ago, you took us out of Egypt and you told us to make a Seder. God, did you even think we were going to listen? Did you even think that we were going to keep Seders for almost 3,500 years? That's a lot to ask from your Jewish nation. And we're here. And we're thrilled to be here. And we're doing everything. We're cleaning our houses. We're getting rid of the chametz. We're checking for chametz on the Sunday night. We're burning the chametz on the Monday morning. We're so careful not to eat any matzah on Monday. We're so careful to close up our closets and to make sure that there's nothing in our house that even reeks of chametz. We are so vigilant. God, you must be blown away. Of course, Nirtzah. Of course you accepted our Seder with so much love. You're blown away by your children, who no matter where in the world they live, assimilated as much as they can, they show up to Seder. My friend told me she's going to her children's Seder at Penn State. 500 young students are showing up at this university's Seder. You don't think God's blown away? I feel like crying right now. If I was God, I'd send Mashiach now. Now. Even before my friend has to peel another potato. She goes to help her daughter. I speak to our friends all over the world. In Nepal, in Thailand, over 3,000 backpackers, Israelis, and students from all over the world. They know where to be on Monday night at the Seder. They're at Chabad, because no Jew is left behind. So of course it's Nirtzah. Hashem is thrilled that we are making a Seder. And he says, whatever you did tonight, Kaddish, Orchatz, Karpas, Yachatz, Magid, Rachza, Motzi Matzah, and the rest of it, Nirtzah, it's accepted and welcomed and cherished and loved. Because I am at your Seder, Hashem tells us. I am with you. Eliyahu Navi comes too. But you. And then Hashem tells us a very important thing. I want you as parents who are running the Seder, remember, speak to every single one of your children. The Chacham, the Rasha, the Tam, and the She'eni Dei Lashal. Speak to each one of them in their language. Don't make it boring. Don't repeat the same old every single year. Come up with new things. Come up with new games, with new ideas, with new Dvar Torahs. Let each one of them prepare something that they could bring to the table. Make each one of your guests shine. And don't be paranoid. The matzah, and don't forget them to eat it, and the maror. Don't obsess. If you want to be religious, do it. But don't make anyone at your table feel uncomfortable that they won't ever want to come back. Because for many of us, Pesach could be a time of trauma, a time of anxiety. We are so worried that it's going to be a repeat of what happened when we were kids and we were traumatized. Remember that this is a time of redemption, a time of geula. It's a very interesting thing that I heard from Yossi Jacobson. I want to repeat in his name. You know, how many of you will be checking your home for Pesach on the Sunday night? Just give me a raise of a hand. How many of you are going to be checking your home? You know, the custom is that we take 10 little pieces of bread and we hide it. But don't forget to write down in your notebook where each one, behind the cupboard, under the piano, under my bed, behind the fridge. Make sure you write down exactly so you find all 10. We have a wooden spoon. We have a feather and a candle. We put all the 10 pieces afterwards in the bag. And my father used to hang it from the chandelier. And the next morning, he used to take it with all the kids, and we would go and burn the rest of the chametz. By the way, this is a commandment from the Torah. And you all have to do it, and you all want to do it because it's a lot of fun. You hide them. In our house, the women and the girls hide them. The men find them. And my kids laugh so much. It's the excitement of the night. And then the next day, my husband takes all the children and they go and burn the chametz. So the question is, we burn the feather, we burn the spoon, we burn, of course, the 10 crumbs, and we burn the bag. But why do we also burn the candle? What did the candle do? The other stuff were picking up the chametz, so there might be a chashash that there was some chametz. But why are you burning the candle? Anybody? So the reason we burn the candle is because the candle was looking for the chametz. In the olden days, there used to be professional people called magidim. They were fiery and storm rabbis that would go from city to city with fire and brimstone. They used to bring lectures and yell at the crowd that they have to become better Jews, and they would give them so much fear and trepidation, and people would go, oh my gosh, I'm not a good Jew, I have to be better, and then they would go to the next town and repeat. So the Alter Rebbe, the Baal Tanya, had a chassid. His name was Shmuel Munkes. A very famous story. And Shmuel Munkes saw through this Magid. He saw through this holier than thou lecturer. He goes, who's he to run around screaming at everyone to be better? Look at him. You think he's so holy that he runs around screaming at these poor Jews who are working so hard to clean their house, and he yells at them they have to be better and better? He goes, I'm going to teach him. You see? He takes a knife that you use for shchita, very sharp knife, and he knocks at the door where the Maggid is staying. And he says to the Maggid, holy man, thank you so much for coming to our city and enlightening us to become better. He goes, no, I'm nobody, I'm a nothing. He goes, no, you're very, very righteous. And I have to tell you something. We have a cemetery in our little city. It has no holy people buried there. You know, it's a custom, my friends, that before every holiday, you're supposed to go to a cemetery and you pray at the tombstone of the righteous people. We go to loved ones and we ask them to daven on our behalf, right? So that we can get a good and holy holiday. It's a custom. People go to their loved ones. I'm sure a lot of you do that, right? So he says to this man, we don't have any righteous people in our cemetery here. So I want to slaughter you now. I want to kill you. We'll bury you in our city. And then we'll have a holy man to go to. So the man goes, wait. I'm not really so holy. He goes, what do you mean you're not so holy? You just yelled at the whole community about all the tshuva they have to do. Clearly, you are above and beyond everything. So you're very, very righteous. And he starts coming with the knife. The man goes, no, I'm really not righteous. You know, I sometimes on Shabbos, I do this and this, and sometimes I talk Lashon Hara. He goes, nah, you're still very, very holy. We still need you. And he's coming closer with the knife. And the Maggid goes, no, I'm a nothing. I'm a shvantz. I'm a nobody. I don't do make brachas, and I steal, and I... So the Reb Shmonka says to him, what? You're such a lowlife, and you have the chutzpah to come and speak to our community and make yourself sound so holy? Get out of town, you good for nothing. I love the story because that reflects the candle. We're looking for chametz. How many of us in our lives, and me of course included, remember my friends, when I speak to you now, I see myself, which means I'm talking to myself. And I'm saying, Goldie, how many times have you taken the candle and looked for others' imperfections when the imperfections are mine? Baal Shem Tov says when we look in the mirror, when we look at another person, we're really looking in a mirror. And any of their faults are our faults, reflection of us. So I look at myself and I say, comes Pesach, and that candle that resembles looking at others' flaws, Hashem says, I want you to burn that on the chametz. Get rid of it. Pesach's not a time to look at everyone else's flaws. It's a time to sit around the table and everyone brings their love of Judaism to the table. Everyone has something powerful that they need to ask. A question that's perturbing them about Jewish continuity. Try to answer the questions to the best that you can. And if you don't have an answer, tell them that you will get back to them. And speak to your local rabbi and get the answers. Because everybody is valuable at our Seder table. Every Jew has an neshama that is on the highest level. So when we get to the Seder this year, bring your empathy, your holiness, your patience, your love, your positivity. Because Hashem is bringing His. He's also at the table. And He is blown away how many of us are going to be gathering around the table for 2 Seders in Chutz La'aretz. If Mashiach comes, there's only one. And we clean out our house from chametz. Chametz is ego. We rid ourselves from the ego. We bring in 8 days of humility, 8 days of humbleness, 8 days of looking at others with a good eye, with good and with respect, with empathy, with compassion, with love, with light, with patience, all ages. Acceptance is the game. It's the name of our holiday. And I wish you all, of course, a Chag Kosher v'Sameach, a kosher and freilich. And notice that in Pesach, we say 2 words. Kosher, because we wish everyone should have a house that is kosher for Passover, but it should be freilichen. Let's not bring any trauma into our home for Pesach. I know I'm going to try to work on that, and I hope you all have a beautiful Pesach. Just to put it out there for those of you who are here on Pesach, the last day of Pesach, which is the last day of Tuesday, we are having something called Mashiach Seudah. It's a Chabad custom coming still from the Baal Shem Tov's days, that before Pesach is over, we have a last meal where we serve 4 cups of wine, we bring matzah, and everyone washes, and we have another Seudah, and that's called Mashiach Seudah. We are confident that Mashiach will be coming, and we gather around in our community. We sit around our table, we sing songs, I prepare song booklets, we have nigunim, and we welcome in the time when there will finally be an end to the tragedies, the pain, the suffering of the Jewish people around the world, and we welcome in the coming of Mashiach, wishing you all a kosher and freilich and Pesach.